Okay, we're good. We're going to have our final presentation before lunch. SSantinga.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I'm SSantinga, and it's funny that Emily should mention technology and how our generation is going towards the information based off of online tools. So my topic is the modern memory, the psychological effects of social media. I got into this because during the summer and for the past 2 or 3 years, Madison County has gone through a period of sad, unfortunate events. And during these times, during when the community came together, I realized how important social media was in the community coming together, talking with each other, and communicating overall. So how did I come up with this? Well, I realized that in my life, I can go on social media and I can see things that are happening that are disastrous. I can see the unfortunate events, and it's been proven that when someone gets onto a social media site, well, they usually get off more unhappy than when they got on. Now, this is a phenomenon based on several events, such as what they see online, what they search, but also it's been found that if someone posts a negative post, well, the people who see that are more likely to post something negative as a result. So I basically wanted to answer a what if question. I wanted to see, well, what if this didn't happen? What can we do to maybe influence that? So my question was, what psychological effects does social media have on society? But I also wanted to look at, from different perspectives, how I might be able to influence that as well. So I did some research. I found out that social media does in fact affect how people think and how people feel based on how much time they spend. Americans, this generation, we're spending an average of 16 minutes per hour on social media sites such as Facebook, Twitter, and MySpace. And I found that to be quite surprising. Now, if we're spending more time on these social media sites, then who's to say that it's not constantly affecting our moods, constantly affecting what we know and what we think we know? So I wanted to do my research from several perspectives. I wanted to not only find out how it psychologically affects us, but I also wanted to find out how these applications are made that are so influential on our students and on our society. So my internship was done in Charlottesville at a growing company called Willow Tree Apps. I absolutely loved the experience. This is a growing company, Fortune 500 company, and although I had to go through some pretty rough steps to get there, including an interview, formal interview, that basically scared me half to death, but it was also a lot of fun and very informational. I was accepted to be a shadow intern. It was their first experience taking an intern like me, who just basically wanted to shadow, but they saw it as an opportunity to also work with me and work with other students in the future. So what I realized in the beginning was that this was not what I expected. I expected to walk in for there to be people in cubicles in business attire. Well, that wasn't the case. People walked around in jeans and nice shirts, of course, but they also had their gamer jackets on. And it was a big shock to me. I didn't know what to expect. I was just expecting what we learned in computer science when we took it for a governor's school in the past few years. Well, I ended up learning from my mentors different things than what we had learned in the computer science program here at BRDGS. I actually learned that most of the time, if you're web-based programming, you use JavaScript, not Java. And there's a big difference besides the closeness of the names. So my mentors were Patricia Shin and Christine Bryant Ryback. They're both software engineers at Willow Tree. Christine was with me the first day, and she really helped me to understand the workings of the company and how the the building was set up, and how each programmer was in a location because of what they were working on. And for the rest of my time at Willow Tree, I was with Patricia Shin. She basically gave me a crash course into some of the most difficult programming concepts there are out there. So I learned through her how to work JavaScript with Marionette, Backbone, other helping basically structures that helped with the creation of a web application. And I really learned that it's not just going into NetBeans and learning just a few commands in Java. So for my community service, for me it was a bit difficult because it's hard to incorporate both sides of an argument into one community service venture. So how could I possibly think about the community, think about how social media is affecting us, and how we can jump on the other side of that argument and make a case for the people who are developing these applications? So I was rejected several times. Several of my community service ideas basically failed. And that was a great learning point for me, but it was difficult in the long run trying to overcome so many hurdles to find a solid community service venture. I eventually decided to start a Facebook page, to start a movement that spreads positive comments throughout Facebook. It's a new page, but I'm hoping to grow it to become something that spreads overall through our community and maybe even further. Along with that, I would like to develop an app. This isn't an application that's up and running yet. However, I do have a mock-up of something that would connect with Facebook as well as allow users to comment to their friends the little joys in life. Oops. Sorry. So basically, I have just the layout where you can log in, you can create a post, and then you can send your post to various users. And this is just the layout right now. There's no actual code behind it, but if I could make this, it would communicate with the servers of Facebook to create an interactive site. So why is this significant? Well, I learned throughout my time that it's not the computers that are making connections in our world. It's the people. You go out and talk to someone face to face, and there's a connection there that you never would have found just talking to them on social media. It's those connections that are going to be the future of technology. We have robots taking over our bodies in the marketing and production fields. And now we have computers that are far surpassing our ability to think, such as calculators and online-based mathematics tools. But one thing that they're never really going to be able to replace, or at least anytime soon, is human emotion and the ability to connect with other people. So what did I figure out about myself? Well, for one thing, I'm not a big procrastinator. Is that surprising? Yeah. Well, I found out though that I bite off way more than I can chew. That's my big problem. So there's a big difference between procrastinating and just having too much to do. But if I could start over and do it again, I probably would take easier classes during the time that I'm working on this and have more time allotted that I could actually focus into one area. And for the future BRVGS students taking on this project, I would suggest that you don't try to take two sides in an argument. You try to focus on one lane, stay to that lane, and go on the straight and narrow. Because I ran into a lot of difficulty in aligning my community service, my mentors, and my subject. Are there any questions? And thank you.
Did you talk with your mentors at Willow Tree about the psychological effect of the social media, their opinion?
I did a bit, but of course they're the ones making the applications that are basically being successful.
But they're on the computer all day.
Yeah, they're on the computer, and they agree that sometimes social media can be draining and people spend a lot of time on it, but it's also a growing field that's not going to stop growing anytime soon. So that's why I tried to focus on, well, how can we make it better as opposed to how we can reverse it.
You said you were rejected
Mhm.
4 times. What did the first one
Okay.
feel like?
Well, the first one was a little strenuous. So I was originally hoping to make a monument in Madison County and an application that went along with it, like a physical monument, and then have the information from the monument based on an app. But I hit some trouble in actually realizing that that was going to take an enormous amount of time and effort and many stages of going through. And basically, I mean, my parents just wouldn't let me, for lack of a better term. I mean, and now I see the reason why. It's because this would not have been a project that could, like, even get close to finishing, even within a semester. So they saved me a lot of eventual heartache there. And then I had another idea, which was to create basically a Facebook sort of similar page, but for people who have been influential in our community who have passed away. But I hit another barrier there because I realized, well, who really wants to go on and see the people who have passed away? And it can get kind of morbid in certain areas. So that would not accentuate my goal of creating happy thoughts as opposed to negativity. And then also I had another idea that would include local corporations maybe incentivizing positive comments within an app. But then I realized that I need business permits. I need to go through a lot of legal issues to do that. So that might become an eventual thing, but for this project, I hit many barriers that hopefully I wouldn't hit so hard in the real world after college, per se.
Did you learn from rejections?
I did.
Did you learn from success?
Yeah, I learned from rejection, and I think it's going to help me in my future. I hope to actually go into computer science, and I will be attending the University of Alabama in the fall, and I'm really excited about it because I've talked to some of the professors there, and they are really excited about going into the future of technology and robotics and app development, and it's a really interesting field that I'm super excited about. Any other questions?